and 17th of last century. Do you feel that?
Well, I think to a great extent the feminist movement throughout the 70s and 80s, particularly has concentrated much of its activity, much of its struggle on gaining entrance into all those areas of wage work that have been historically predominantly male. And this has become, in a sense, the main concern, and clearly can be understood in terms of the quest for autonomy from men. And at the same time, I think that the attention, the question of reproduction in general, including domestic work, and also the question of the body. Yes, abortion as always continues to be essential, but partly because new methods are available. For example, now, in the United States, many women can have abortion by taking pills. So they don't have to turn to a hospital, they don't have to turn to a doctor. And this, in a sense, has diminished the concern for the question of abortion itself. Although in the last few years, we have lost, in many states, they have delegalized abortion. They have criminalized abortion, and now we are witnessing an incredible display of cruelty. Women who are being forced to carry on, their fetuses until the last month, until they have a breath, even though, there are very serious problems with that. So I would say that it's very important to return to the question of the body. Also because, there is a bit also of an illusion that we can change our life. And I don't want to be too excessive in stressing this question, but we can change significantly our life by changing our bodies. And there's a whole industry that has grown about the remaking of the body. And one of the issues I wanted to stress with this work was the issue of how do we change our life. And we change our life not only remaking our body, but remaking the society, remaking social relations, remaking the world. That much of the energy that has gone into the transformation, of our bodies, often as hidden or has been at the cost of a lesser attention to the broader issue of reproduction, issues of property, issue of ecology, issue of basically the transformation of the condition of existence in this capitalist society.
Do you think that some of the rights humans have conquered in last decades that are now menaced by these Trump governments and right-wing parties in Europe? Do you feel
absolutely.
That? Yes.
Oh, absolutely. The women, there's a new we chant against women, of course. There's a no we chant against feminists, as there is a we chant also against, social movements. Yeah, absolutely. The right wing now is, pushing and pushing for imposing again a traditional model of the family. Yes. And there's in the United States, we have seen systematic attack in a growing number of states, against, for example, the right to abortion. And so, yes, and women's rights are under attack. The rights that women have fought for have been definitely under attack. And I think we need a new women's movement. We need a new women's movement with an international perspective, with a broad program that addresses the main issues of reproduction, and also, takes on a struggle against war, a struggle against militarization, a struggle to decide how the social wealth, the wealth that is produced, it's used. Now most of it goes for destructive purposes. Now most of it goes into war, into armies. We have a society that is increasingly militarized, and we see what is happening now in Palestine. I've been saying over and over, Palestine is the world, and I think women, precisely because women have a whole history tied to the question of reproduction. And in that process of doing the work, we have learned about the value of life. We have learned how fragile life is. I think the feminist movement has a major role, in changing, in countering the program of the right, in countering the program of an expensive capitalist development that is now destroying the world in so many ways, destroying nature, and destroying, so many populations. So I think that this is the feminism that we need now, a feminism with a broad. Already in many parts of the world, certainly in the Latin America, the feminist movement has a very, very broad perspective. It is an ecological feminist movement, a movement that fights to reclaim the land, a movement that sees, that the body is that connects the body to the territory. In fact, they speak of body territory, which means that we cannot really have a healthy life unless we are recuperating, reclaiming the territory, the nature in which we live.
You are very critical in face of doctors and medicine and the role which medicine plays in this game.
Yes, very, very critical. And very critical. First of all, one of the reasons, one of the themes in Beyond the Periphery of the Skin was to counter the mechanistic image of the body that was being imposed more and more, particularly with the development of genetics. Genetic is everything. We are being told more and more continuously that the genes determine everything. And an image of the body has been presented that presents it as a collection of genes, a collection of mechanical parts, each with its own program. And the idea of the body as a field of forces, the idea of a body as something that is not self-enclosed, but is expansive. Our bodies are continuously connected and defined by our relation with other people, our relation with nature, our relation with the waters, the winds, the animals, the people around us. This is the magical body that I've been, And instead, both medicine and science have proposed a body which is a mechanical set of parts. So this is one of the issues the other was the question of the reproductive technologies. That the medical profession, has come telling women, you can change your life through technology. Change your life through changing the reproductive technology. As Maria Mies, the late German feminist Maria Mies has put it, women's body has become the last field, of capitalist accumulation, has become a new field of capital accumulation. With this reproductive technology, they're promising women a control over their body and autonomy and a good life that instead makes them subjected, makes them subservient to the medical profession. A medical profession, who basically offers a technological solution to issues that are not technological, are social, and have to do with changing human relations.
I think that in our age, young girls, all human, but young girls are more prescient about beauty and about the ideal body than 20 years ago when I was a young girl. Because social media are making very noise about that. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's part of the commercialization of life. Mm-hmm. This is part of the increasing commercialization of life. That basically says you have to sell yourself. That basically says you have to compete. And therefore the question of beauty. And you know, the feminists, since the 1970s, feminists have written a lot about the slavery of beauty. You know, the fact that beauty has always been imposed on us, you know, as an obligation, and has been one of the ways to divide women, the beautiful and the ugly, has been one of the ways to oppress us. Beauty has been a tool of oppression. Most women, research upon research has been showing, most women hate their body. They don't think it's good enough. They don't think it's good enough because we are always projected images of an artificial beauty that, of course, we can never match, that we can never reach. And so we are continuously trying to beautify ourselves. And in that way, we become very alienated from our own body. We look at our own body with a sense of detachment and a sense of disappointment. We are not good enough. Yes. And then this idea that why we have the beautiful, we have to please men. We have to please the people around. This is one of the tasks that women have. The woman's body has been totally objectified. And I think the feminist movement was very powerful in its critique. We stopped shaving, we stopped making the lipstick, we stopped making, you know, so many of the rituals that we begin to see as rituals of enslavement, of self-enslavement and self-devaluation.
I think that we have some time to talk about the other book published in Portuguese. That is one of my favorite books, that is Caliban and the Witch, and is also published by Orfeu Negro. And now we have bells in here. It's a wonderful book about many things in history of human, and how in many ages they were at the top of the most important movements in society, mostly in Europe. And you talk about the importance of human as a leader of riots against hunger and against great famines. You talk a lot about that, and it's very a powerful idea.
Yeah, I know, and I saw that women were in the 16th, 17th century, they had a very strong place, a very strong role in the struggle against the immiseration, impoverishment, and that imposed by the beginning of capitalist development. You know, the expropriation of land, you know, the period in which we have the enclosure, you know, where the peasantry is pushed out from its land, the beginning of agricultural, you know, labor, but the beginning of agricultural, of commercial agriculture, and you know, the peasant becomes a wage laborer. It begins with the expropriation from the land, and so women were really in the front line in several countries to defending their land. Women were also very, very important into the 18th century in the struggle against the export of food products. Often they assaulted. In England, for example, they were very, very often assaulting the carts of food, grain. They were being brought to the port to be exported. So they protected the livelihood, of the community. And I think this relationship the women have had with the question of reproduction has given them a very, very important role. To this day, we see it today. I mentioned before, for example, throughout Latin America, women have been fighting against oil companies coming into the community, taking over land, contaminating the water, fighting against deforestation,
Yes.
The burning and cutting of trees, fighting against commercial agriculture, when you replace, food diversity, with this monoculture, the soybean for export. And this is one of the reasons for the witch hunts.
They were very important in French Revolution, for instance.
Absolutely. Very important that you reminded me, yes. The women were very important in the French Revolution in this world, yes.
I would like very much that you talk about for some time about other theme very important in this book is the witch hunting all over Europe and in European colonies all over the world, in Portuguese colonies like the Portuguese state of India. There were persecution to women that were considered so-called witches. There is
and
not
Brazil
and Brazil too. There is not a religion a problem of religion, isn't it?
No, it's not a problem of religion. And in fact, also, the attack on women as witches in the colony was also connected with the role that women often had in the slave revolts, and so that attacking them as witches is because they saw the women had powerful voices and powerful presence also in the revolt of the colonized. And I want to say important, the witch hunts have not finished. All over the world, women are still accused of witchcraft, and they're still burned or killed in other ways in Africa, in India, and also it's beginning also in Latin America. There have been recently killing of women in Brazil, for example, in Mato Grosso. One of the latest who was killed in Mato Grosso was a woman, Gaudiana, who was defending the lands of the Guarani against the attempt to turn them into commercial areas for the production of soya. And she was locked into her hut, and she was burnt alive. But it's calculated that more than 30,000 women have been killed as witches in Africa over the last 20 years. And now increasingly it's clear that those accusations are connected with the question of land. Among those targeted are not only older women who may be seen as no longer useful in the community, but also women who have access to some land. And now there is a big push by companies of all types, foreign companies. They're acting in complicity with local leaders, are taking over lands and turning them to commercial use, and the women stand in the way. And so we are not speaking on the witch hunt of something that is past. It's really very important. I've been writing a lot because I think this is an issue the feminist movement needs to concentrate upon, needs to make primary and central, to our, imagine, I was shocked when around 1980, 2000, I began to realize, I was still working on Caliban and the Witch, I realized that actually this was continuing. Actually, women continued to be persecuted, terrorized, expelled from their villages, and in the end, many of them were also, executed in the most brutal way, often after being tortured.
Why do you think that the society have so much afraid of these ladies that most of the time make good things to their community? Why?
Well, because when you want to change a society,
yes,
when you want to create a society where the question of money, where the question of gain, of profit, where the question of control by the few is central, then you have to deal with all these people whose job has been really, in a sense, concentrating on the reproduction of life. Women have been really the center of the community. When you think of it, even if their work has been devalued in capitalist terms, the women have been the center of the community. When it comes to children, procreation, food production, healthcare, agriculture. So disciplining the women is very fundamental if you want to change a society. Controlling the community of women is very important, in the past as in the present.
Finally, I ask you, how can we recover our magical body? As you propose.
Yes, we recover our magical body. Yeah, not only by being concentrating on our individual bodies, and we recover our magical body by, first of all, recognizing our body is an open-ended reality. It's connected with the bodies of others. We fall in love because we are sensitive to the presence of other people, because we are connected. We are vitally connected to the body of other people. This is what fascination is about. We are connected with the land. Our body thrive or suffer, whether we have a relationship with nature or not. Whether we are connected, whether we see the green of the trees, whether we see the blue of the sky. Our bodies are very vitally connected to the nature of the world. So I think it is very important to see what we need to change. It's not only our body as an individual reality, but our body as a reality that connects, extends, to the life of other people, to the other bodies, and to the world of nature.
We can have hope.
We have to.
Okay.
There is no choice. Every day, new children are born. What do we tell them? Sorry, it's too late. Sorry, it's too late. No, we cannot.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. It was really, really great pleasure to talk with you, and the honor in name of all these people that are very. I look at their faces and I think they are very feel the same, share the same feeling that I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all of you. And
See
have
you
a good
soon.
day.
See you soon. I hope.
Bye. Bye.
Obrigada. Grazie.
Obrigada.
Buonasera.
Buonasera.